everyone, welcome to another episode of B-Side Podcast, where we discuss business, blockchain, and of course Bitcoin. My name is Jacob and I'm your host, and today with me is extremely interesting guest, Anton Golub. Anton, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here in this great vibe and in great environment. I'm looking forward to an awesome discussion with you. Thank you.
Absolutely amazing. So, just for you guys to know, Anton is an amazing person. He's a 3 times founder in the blockchain space. He's got like very deep background in both finance and research. He's been working for hedge funds on quantitative high frequency trading, but also he's a co-author of 13 publications and actually 2 books. So I would say it's an amazing achievement in such a short time. So did I miss anything?
No, I think you said it perfectly. And just to mention what I do now is I'm a chairman and founder of Swiss Asset DAO, which is a DAO focused on real world asset investments.
Exactly. So let's jump in and let's start from the very beginning. So what drove you from traditional finance to the blockchain space?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, so maybe just very shortly how I ended up in the traditional finance space is I studied mathematics, and I really liked this combination of technology, financial markets, trading, mathematics, and I kind of really was very fond of high frequency quantitative trading early on, kind of was very interested in it. I was very fortunate to end up in a hedge fund in Switzerland to work as a trader. But it was an amazing experience. I really liked it. I have to say, it was like a dream come true for me. For a lot of young men in 25, I was 24 or 25, to start working at a hedge fund, it was like a dream come true. But having said that, I had a visionary boss at the hedge fund. So he was a pioneer in fintech, in trading, in finance. And he was always telling me about Bitcoin and about blockchain, actually, very early on. Yeah. So he was always telling me about it. And I remember clearly this day. So it was in it was in kind of like at the end of winter in 2013. Very dark and gray day in Geneva, as you can imagine it.
Yeah.
He called me one day and he said, Anton, I'm shutting down the hedge fund. This is the past. This is not the future. Let's stop doing that. And my first thought was, wow, this is a horrible start to the day, because, everybody's getting fired, it's over. And he told me, but Anton, I was telling you about blockchain, about Bitcoin, about cryptocurrencies. So, and he told me, this is the future actually, so let's focus on that. And then he invited me, that together, me and him, create a startup in the crypto industry, if you can call it an industry back then. And in 2013, we launched the second ever crypto company in Switzerland called Like, and that was my first step, into the crypto industry.
Oh yeah, that's pretty amazing, because in 2013 there was very few people who actually entered the space. So, so you're definitely an OG in this space.
Yeah.
So what is your interest right now as you see this industry evolving? Like, where do you focus your energy, and what do you find like the most progressive spaces in blockchain?
Yeah. So there are a couple of things that interest me from a professional perspective, that I'm, working on, but then also some things that maybe on the sidelines I'm kind of observing and find it very interesting. So kind of to mention what I'm very passionate about and where I see a big megatrend happening is in 2 matters, which are very closely related to Swiss Asset DAO. So the first point is about DAOs as a way to govern an entity in a decentralized manner. I really think that to make a very strong statement, in our next couple of years, every crypto project will be a DAO or will have a DAO. Now, this is a very strong statement when I say it, and then people usually challenge me, okay, but how is it going now? And to give you a bit of data, when I mentioned that statement, today you have more than 12,000 DAOs. So usually people get shocked when they hear it, because
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a big number, because even if you ask people, can you name me one DAO, they would say, I don't know, maybe MakerDAO is a DAO because there's a DAO in the name. So they would say maybe MakerDAO or maybe Lido or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a huge number and it's a rapidly growing number. So governing an entity, governing a company in a decentralized, community-driven way, this is something I'm very passionate about. And it's a big megatrend in my view. And the second thing I'm very passionate about, again, what I'm working on actively, is real-world assets. So how do we actually bridge the assets from the real world, so your traditional bonds, stocks,
Yeah.
private equity, art, luxury cars, real estate. How do we actually enable the crypto native companies to invest in this kind of investment opportunity? This is called today real world assets.
Absolutely.
So this is kind of where I'm actively working on with Swiss as a DAO, but on the sidelines, I'm very passionate about DeFi. I think DeFi is super cool. Everything about DeFi actually. So kind of how do you manage assets, how you trade assets, how you exchange assets, borrow and lend in a fully permissionless manner. And on the sideline, something very small on my side is decentralized social networks. We are aware how powerful are social networks to spread the message, to get the reach, but we are as well aware how powerful they are because they actually control everything.
Yeah.
And if they decide that you are not doing something how they like it, you're cut off.
Yeah, this happens on a daily basis,
Yes.
I would say, right?
Yeah.
So this is something that most of the social media users actually experience themselves.
Yes.
But I want to dig into the DAOs thing because to some extent, what you're saying means that that the today's setup of institutions and the companies is broken.
Yes.
I like to say that the money is broken. This is quite popular thing to say in the crypto space, especially now after the Lin's Alden latest book. But I would even say that the system of creating institutions is broken.
Yes.
Why do you think so?
Yeah. So maybe first to give to people who don't know how easy to run company. I mean, you know it because you run it now, and I know it because I have done it several times. So when you run a company that is not publicly listed, for instance, you usually have the main shareholders.
Yeah.
Main shareholders are usually the founders, which are then part of the management, the CEOs, which are also on the board, many times maybe even the chairman of the board. So you have a very high concentration of power within a very small group of people, and not a lot of transparency what's happening on the governance level, but also not really a lot of transparency what's happening within the company as well, even though maybe you would like to know a lot about it. But this is because this is the reason because it's an established way how we do things.
Yeah.
And that's how I have experienced it. I thought it was awesome actually because I was able to make a big impact on the company. But then you also wonder, is there a better way how to do it? And a DAO is a way how to manage a company or an entity or a group of people in a way where the members of the DAO actually govern and decide. So you are then a stakeholder, an enabler of that community to steer the DAO in the right direction. So this is like a very big contrast because here it's about a small group of people having the power, and here it's about the members have the power and you're an enabler for them. And then usually people ask me, but Anton, this doesn't sound so fun, so what's the point of it, And from my hands-on experience, the power is in the community actually. So if you have, let's say, in hopefully a year or 2 years, you have your own DAO, but you have 1,000 super high quality members. How much can they help you with fundraising?
Yeah.
How much they can help you with recruiting the right people? How much they can help you indirectly with sales, So I think when you reflect on it, that this group of people can help you a lot and propel your business, then you start understanding the value of a DAO.
I understand. So you believe that there's going to be not only more support from the community members, but also more meritocratically run institution when it's governed by DAO rather than one person at the very top.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I think the cornerstone of that will be actually transparency.
Yeah.
Because what I have experienced is that people are attracted a lot to transparency. I do now weekly calls with my community. I mean, it's like if you asked me that 2 years ago, Anton, will you do weekly calls with the community? It was like, why would I do that? But today I do weekly calls with the community. I tell them what's happening. Obviously, sometimes if you sign an NDA, you cannot really tell them as things are evolving.
Sure.
But I update the community, I answer their question, I get challenged, I actually get input and get feedback. And it's an amazing experience. And it's all for the benefit of the DAO and the group who are managing it.
Well, that sounds amazing. A bit extraordinary, I would say, to many founders and many board members, I would say. But hopefully, this is the direction that we will follow.
Yeah.
But what about the challenges that DAOs actually are facing? What challenge are you guys also trying to solve with a Swiss asset DAO?
Yeah. So first, to mention a practical challenge, that's related to pretty much all DAOs, is the question of the legality of the DAO. Because we are a DAO, we are this group of people, we want to do on-chain governance, but then you have the real world.
Yeah.
And then the real world will look at us and say, yes, that's very nice, but what are you? Because when you have a group of people that gather together and do something, you actually have, you can add it, say it's a benefit, but I think it's a risk of being declared a partnership.
Yeah.
And then having liabilities attached, full on personal liability.
On all the members.
It's on all the members. Imagine you are liable in many countries with your own wealth, with your own assets. So the question, it's a big question, is like, what is a DAO, and in a legal sense, and what's a legal wrapper for a DAO? And there at Swiss Asset DAO, we have done a lot of pioneering work to find the right model for a DAO. So we have found the right model for a DAO in a form of a Swiss association, and that's how we are incorporated, and that's how we're helping other DAOs to create the legal wrapper. There are other options like a foundation or a cooperative or even a shareholding company like AG, you know, that founders are usually aware of. But we are addressing this topic of legality. We're starting in Switzerland, but the goal is to have globally a template where you can literally put the papers on the desk and say, guys, if you want to have a DAO in a legal way, this is actually how you do it.
So it's like a plug and play system for anyone willing to actually start their own community in this form.
Yeah. I love how you said it. I will use this going forward. Plug and play legal solution for a DAO. So this is the first challenge that we're solving. The second one, that it's also maybe very close to you and what you're doing, is how do DAOs manage their assets? Because DAO is actually something that's the most powerful in a DAO is the community and the treasury.
Yeah.
Because treasury means assets, and then the question is like, how do you safely secure assets? Because it's a big topic, as you know, with your company.
Yeah.
How do you manage those assets? And then how do you deploy those assets to earn a yield? So we don't do all these parts, but what we help and support DAO is how can they invest their capital, their treasury, into sustainable long-term investments into the real world.
Got it. So basically how to make them a profitable entities so that they can sustain themselves in the longer time horizon. That sounds amazing. That sounds absolutely amazing. So Anton, one last question for you regarding Bitcoin. I know that both of us have quite similar views. We are both enthusiastic about Bitcoin, and we are both proponents. So now my question would be a bit tricky. What valid or I would say understandable critics that you find interesting you can share, and how do you can address them?
Yeah. So when I think about what Bitcoin is, or if I go and read the white paper, actually it says that Bitcoin is a decentralized currency or a payment system where people can peer-to-peer, transact and exchange assets. And decentralized, it's very key, but it's also it's a payment system where peer-to-peer we can execute trades. And now when I think about it, well, is this really the case? Well, what do people today try to use Bitcoin for? For many people today, Bitcoin is an asset class.
Yeah.
Where they actually, obviously, you have an appreciation in mind. So today people, maybe when they have assets, they say, okay, how much I will deploy into the crypto industry because I can get some returns there and so on. How much of my portfolio can I allocate into crypto to generate or earn some return. Or for many actually use it for speculation. So this is actually, if you look at what's happening in the real world, or on the ground, is actually asset allocation or speculation. Now, very few people use it for payments because it's Bitcoin, the way it operates today, is not really so scalable for payments. And then you can argue, well, we have the Lightning Network, but the Lightning Network after 10 plus years has barely been working properly as a payment solution. So if I kind of go back to the white paper and say decentralized payment system, we realize, okay, it's not really a payment system, it's an asset class. But then when I really dig deep into decentralization, I see that the miners, so these are the entities that settle the transactions, they're actually very centralized. There are a few entities globally who manage successful businesses, but decentralization, even though it's enabled for everyone, in practice it's not so decentralized.
It's being done by the big behemoths,
Yes.
big players, a
Yes.
couple of them even listed on
Yes.
on the U.S. stock exchange.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then, if I understand correctly, you think that this is kind of a risk against the initial concept of decentralized
Yes.
network.
Yes, yeah. I think if Satoshi is looking at us and seeing what we have done with the crypto and Bitcoin, I think he's having a hard time to sleep, or if he's not with us in this world, he's turning his grave, you know, because it's not in line with the vision, at least the original that he had.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I think we should be extremely proud and extremely optimistic. There are many challenges still, like management of cryptocurrencies, like what you're addressing. How do we safely and securely store digital assets and mitigate the risks of thefts and so on? But I think we can be extremely proud what we have achieved.
Yeah, so let's hope for the best future and for the worldwide adoption to be continued, and also for the DAOs to thrive. Guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. Also, I encourage everyone who's interested in the latest developments in the crypto space and in DAO space to follow Anton's channels. There's a lot of great content over there, as he's a very well-researched, incredible researcher with a lot of optimism and enthusiasm for the space. Yes. Thank you so much, Anton, for joining.
Thanks a lot, Jakob. And also, if you need to manage safely and secure your assets, talk to this guy. I'm sure he can help you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All the best.